Welcome back. You're still watching the Afia Morning Show, and thank you for staying tuned. Of course, it's been quite an enthusiastic morning.
Very enthused.
Very enthused. Okay, we still have our guest here. Barrister Chidi Ujoatumba is still here, and now we segue into matters at the Senate. And this time, the news is in a different direction, as 6 months have not only come to an end for Governor Fubara of Rivers State, but for the senator representing Kogi Central Senatorial District at National Assembly. Now, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan has officially resumed her duties at National Assembly after a 6-month suspension. The Kogi Central lawmaker walked back into the Senate on Tuesday amid cheers from supporters, of course waving banners and chanting songs of solidarity. This came shortly after the Senate authorized a reopening of her previously sealed office. Akpoti-Uduaghan was suspended in March following a heated clash with Senate President Godswill Akpabio, who accused her of unparliamentary conduct. Speaking to reporters after reclaiming her seat, the senator declared she has no apology to render. She described her return as a triumph for democratic principles and stood firm on her conduct during the incident that led to her suspension. Let's take a look.
Sometimes it's good to put the institutions to test. We can't cow down in the face of injustice. No one is more Nigerian than us. Senator Akpabio is not more of a senator than I am. He's not a governor of this place, and he treated me as if I was his servant, or I was a domestic staff in his house. It's very unfortunate that at this time, after so many years of democracy, we would have a National Assembly be run by such dictatorship. It's totally unacceptable. As for me, I'm glad to be here, and even though we have been illegally suspended, no day have I hesitated in effectively carrying out my duties as a senator of Kogi Central to the very best of my capacity.
And there you have it from Senator Natasha herself. Now, some people believe that this development marks a significant reconciliation and, of course, restoration of democratic principles within the Senate. The question now is, Barrister Chidi, do you agree with this group? Is this a reconciliation? Is this a return of democratic principles to NAS?
I don't see how someone can look at this development and say what are we welcoming? We just made a mockery of our democracy. You understand? We made a global mockery of our democracy. We suspended an elected lawmaker beyond the recommended time that she was supposed to be suspended. This kind of suspension is not supposed to be more than a week or two. And if it were to be a man, would he have gone through this kind of humiliation? Her salary was suspended, her security wise, everything, simply because of an issue you had with the Senate President. It's a slap on our democracy. Even when the time expired, what took them so long to recall her? I thought they were waiting for the Court of Appeal to give verdict on her appeal. Why did they do? Let me tell you, they did this because of pressure. People have been putting pressure on them. Well-meaning Nigerians have been speaking out. Human rights activists the media have been barraging them with a lot of, reportage on why this suspension should not be, called off since the 6 months has expired. It's a derail on democracy. And I have to kind of commend her for her doggedness, for the fight that she has been able to put up. How many women do we have in the Senate? It takes a lot of courage for you to put up this kind of fight and for you to keep on, pushing in and pushing it. If not for the few demonstrations in front of the National Assembly, do you think that Akpabio would have budged? He bowed to the pressure of Nigerians. He did not respect democracy. He bowed to the pressure of Nigerians. And that's my take on that.
Okay. Nice, actually. Because I was asking this question earlier, by the way. So was it the external forces, that they've been trying to put pressure?
Yes. A lot of letters have been written.
Or the people who took to the streets yesterday in support of Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan returning to the Senate, was that the reason why they cowered?
Yesterday, I was here with my colleague and I said something that taking this matter to United Nations organization, or rather the effort to take it there, may not be good for Nigeria. I said, if Mr. President can arrest the situation or nip it at the bud, let it not go beyond the shores of this nation. That's also a way of putting pressure. Femi Falana, all the human rights activists in this country, they've been barraging the Senate President, asking, why are you doing this? Why would you take this in? Totally out. We are complaining that the 6 months suspension is unconstitutional, and the 6 months has expired, and you don't want to, recall Senator Natasha. I think he bowed to pressure. He cannot be called a Democrat. He has derailed democracy. Who have been representing the good people of her constituency since she has been suspended? Did you listen to that? She has been working consistently, trying to see how she can be relevant during this 6 months period, because she is a very active senator. If you go and look at her constituency project, you can see so many things that she has achieved in the past, and I don't think this development will in any way derail her. And it's a pointer to all women out there, no matter the position you are occupying, whether in the private sector or in the public sector, you really have to be aware of this growing, development, that if you don't really speak out, if you don't stand your ground and stand firmly, whether you have evidence or not, you have to stand your ground and you have to stand firmly and make sure that you're not intimidated at the end of the day. So I think on that part, she has she can now be regarded as an icon of doggedness, as someone who have fought doggedly to make sure that her stand and her position in the Senate was not overrode by the Senate President. You heard her rightly. She said she owes nobody any other apology. She still holds her constitutional rights and privileges so there, and she believes that there is no power or no senator that can take those rights and privileges.
In your previous analysis, you spoke to the issue of democratic principles, and you believe that there's nothing democratic about her suspension, or in fact her return. The Senate President is still faulted by you for that initial action, but you did not address the issue of reconciliation.
Yes,
these people that believe that there's some kind of reconciliation now that she's returned, that there's been a mutual agreement. Judging by her body language in that video, do you see reconciliation in this case?
If there's a reconciliation of any sort, probably she may have made mention of it, or probably, chip in something that can say that she is in talking terms with the Senate President. But you can hear her, you can see her demeanor. She is still on fire. She still believes that she was wrongfully suspended. She still believes that this is a slap on the democracy and also a derail on the democratic governance for the people of her constituency. So nothing, I don't see. If there may be, but not to my own recollection and not to my own observation. Yes, in the case of Fubara, there was a reconciliation of sort, because we saw him move out, visit the president, and also visit Wike. So based on that activity, you can say that there was an active reconciliation. But in this instance, we have not seen anything of that sort. And when you put into consideration her utterances, you can understand that she's not ready to budge, neither is she ready to sit down or maybe talk with anybody.
But don't you think the apology should ensue both from the two parties, Akpoti-Uduaghan and Godswill Akpabio, just to let peace reign, even if it's not personal, but apologizing to the whole plenary?
What kind of, even if it's not personal?
Yeah, personally apologizing to Senator
in the other room,
Akpabio.
Senator
Akpabio also owes an apology as pundits.
The court of law say that Senator Natasha should apologize to the Senate. That's where I'm holding her accountable. She should do that. It's a kind of a violation of an order of court. It's a contempt. She could be held contempt on that. She should do the apology. I don't think our political flavor or power will be diminished if she renders an apology. I don't think, because it's an order of court. She was in a kind of the case in court has to do with disciplinary issues. It has to do with the standing rules of the National Assembly. And if the court of law says that you have erred in this respect, there's no amount of bravado, you understand, or political innuendo that will make you look good in the eyes of your supporters at the end of the day. So you go ahead, you obey the court of law, and you issue or you render that apology. This whole thing have added glamour to her political career. You know, in politics, if you are not fighting and getting up, you are not moving. You understand? So this whole thing have added a kind of a glamour to her political career. So she should make good of it, render that apology. I believe that if she renders that apology, probably the Senate might consider recalling her back to her. You know, she was the the head of the Senate Committee on Diaspora, right, and other things.
What do you foresee when they resume plenary October, that first week of October? The atmosphere, how will it be?
How will it be?
The atmosphere in
definitely. I don't think her return will change anything, but we will watch and see probably if she wants to make contribution, how the Senate President will respond.
All right, before, let me clarify your initial question. Oji, let me clarify. Now, you know, Oji was making a very good point. He said, speaking about the apology, he did not mean personal, like, you know, go by the side and say, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, and then I'm sorry, and then they hug and then they make up. No, that's not what he means. Because I don't think you ask, what are you talking about? You know what? And then Oji started to try to clarify. But let me explain. Now, we had an analyst before that, Alex Obodo, he said that the apology should be from either party to the Senate and not to each other.
That's not what the court said.
Yes, but
the court said that Senator Natasha Akpoti should render an apology to the Senate, and it should be directed to the Senate President. You understand? That's what the court said. The court never said that the apology should come from both sides. No, the court never told Akpabio to apologize to anybody. The court did this. So if Akpabio wants to apologize, Akpabio should apologize based on his own conscience. You understand? Probably to soften up ground, to make up with after all, they used to be good friends.
Okay. Okay, now before you coming, now let's take this. What exactly would Senate President Godswill Akpabio be apologizing for?
I don't know.
No, you have to know, because you're making.
I am saying that Senator Akpabio should not apologize.
No, you're saying if he chooses from his own self, he's had to apologize.
Yes.
And that is not what the court is asking for.
Yes.
If he should, in your assessment, what is he going to be apologizing for? Are you listening to this?
I'm listening.
What should he be apologizing for? What is he going to say? He won't just say, I'm sorry, Natasha, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry for what?
For pushing this whole thing too hard. Okay? For extending the suspension, or even for suspending her at all. We have seen instances. I played a clip for someone when Senator Akpabio himself was in this kind of situation during the era of Saraki. Right. He was not suspended. Okay, so him going this extent, suspending Natasha up to 6 months, probably Natasha requires an apology from Akpabio, whether it could be official or not official. So if you're asking me what should Akpabio apologize for, I think it's only on this, because I think he pushed it too far. Probably because of ego or pride, he pushed it too far. Yeah.
So if Natasha should apologize for the Senate President, what should she apologize for in her case?
Okay, she should apologize for flouting the standing rules of the Senate by not going back to her seat when she was ordered to do the same by the Senate President, because it was actually this that led to the court case, one of the court cases. Okay, she should also apologize for there was this publication that she made a satire. You understand? She wanted to make it look like an apology, but when you read it, it's not actually an apology. She should also apologize for that one. I think that is also one of the things that the court said that she should apologize on. So the other case on sexual harassment is still in court. It's sub judice. I will not. The court have not said anything in respect to that, so I will not delve into it. Yeah.
What reforms should be introduced to prevent politically motivated suspensions like this in the House? Because apparently this is now sounding more political than personal. Sorry, more personal than political.
Okay. The problem we are having now is not about the standing rules of the Senate. is not about whether it's personal or whether it is public. What is about the leadership of the Senate is about Nigeria being turned into a one-party system. Do you know that when you have a political party's representative in the Senate, when you have to lobby to get the actual resolution of the majority of the Senate, either to pass a bill or to pass a resolution or to get something done, that is where politics plays its role. But when you come and one political party has almost all the members of the Senate, you find out that it's so easy for them to get things done. They can punish it. They become like a governor on their own. And that's what she's complaining about, okay? We should balance the political atmosphere whereby, let's take for instance, LP will have members represented, PDP will have, ADC will have, the ruling party like APC will have. And when you want to do something, when you want to get the majority of the vote in the house, you really have to lobby. That's when other senators can look you in the face and tell you what you are planning to do is unconstitutional. And before you do that, you must apply reason, you must apply caution, and you must try as much as possible to respect the principles and the regulations of the Constitution. So I think where we're having the problem is that one party sitting and having the majority of all the members of the House, any bill passes, anything can go, anything goes. That's the problem we're having in the Senate. If it is balanced and we have senators from other political parties, no one can stand and suspend anybody and also enjoy the majority of all the members of the Senate.
Are we going to experience redundancy here when it comes to Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan in the Senate? Because apparently at the end of the day, it's who Godswill Akpabio point speaks in the Senate. I do foresee, rendering this woman redundant in the Senate, and also this could this affect his senatorial seat, making her one-term senator?
I don't think it will even make her, except if there's another free and fair election. I think she would win. The people love her. We've seen an organic support in her when she visited the people.
Is there anything like free and fair election in Nigeria?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I am saying. I can't go into that right now. But if there is a free and fair election, I don't think anything will stop her from going back to the Senate.
I know fully well APC is the power.
Yes, APC is the power. And the woman you're talking about is also a force to reckon with. You understand? So if you want to rig her out or if you want to play a fraudulent thing around her, you must be good at what you do, because she will leave no stone unturned. She will make sure that all the necessary democratic principles are put in place.
And the other question, leaving her redundant, rendering her redundant in the House.
And now see, let's see how this whole thing plays out. Because I don't think Akpabio would want to play into that trap again, okay? If it is time for her to speak, opportunity should be given for her to speak. If she is qualified to head a committee, she should be recalled back to head her committee. We cannot, because of this, you understand, stop Nigerians from enjoying her intelligence, you understand, leveraging from her exposure. We cannot do that. This is a woman who has been through thick and thin, and I think giving her more responsibility should be done in such a way that we can enjoy her expertise. She has come to stay. She's a politician and she has a lot to offer. So people, the media, they'll be watching Akpabio. You understand? As the plenary commences, okay, as the activities of the House comes into full play, we will see how Akpabio will handle her, more especially when she raises up her hand or press the knob to make a statement. All things will be in play. It's going to be a signature, and we will watch closely.
I just hope that these individuals or men, reason the way you reason, because we are, well, just shut up. Because pettiness comes into play when things like this are, uprise.
All right. So we know that at this point in time, the Senate has postponed its plenary resumption to October 7th. And at the same time, Natasha's office was reopened, marking her resumption of duties, right? But at the same time, they also go ahead and reschedule their reopening for reasons yet to be disclosed.
Okay.
Is there a parallel line that we can draw, or is this simply coincidence, bearing in mind that no official explanation was given for the postponed plenary resumption?
Oh, I don't think there's anything hidden there. The Senate have postponed their resumption on a couple of times, even without giving any special reason why they did that. Yes, this one is also coinciding with the return of Senator Natasha. The suspension is over. You can see the deputy clerk of the House unsealing the office. The suspension is over. So what we're expecting now, even before the 7th of October, is for all her privileges to be recalled. Okay, her securities details, everything should be recalled. So what I am saying here in effect is that I don't think it will go that way. Let us know that she is an elected senator. Okay, she has not committed any crime. Okay, the suspension does not mean that she's no more a senator. She is still a senator, and you hear her saying that no one is more of a senator than her. Okay, let's call this whole thing a political issue and let her go back to work and take her responsibility and give the kind of political representation that her people deserve.
So you're not in fact perturbed in any magnitude that shortly after her office was reopened at the same time, more or less the same day, few hours apart.
She's just one person. She's just a senator.
Yeah, she's just one person, but there was
senators.
She's just one person, but there was a crowd that was speculated to grow over time, all pushing for her resumption.
Yes.
So it's not just one person. Of course, know that when she resumes, she will just be one lawmaker, right?
Of course.
But outside, in the heat of her suspension, there was a crowd agitating numerous times about the need for her to be reinstated
I love
to
that
resume
crowd.
duties. So now, do you think that this was a way of perhaps trying to let things calm down, let things cool down before resumption? I mean,
No.
we did start this conversation by saying that this is the biggest, at least for Nigerians, because
Yes.
this involves the lawmaker. Is that not enough
I think the crowd
to suspend plenary longer?
No, the mammoth crowd. Okay, if you are trying to fathom that, I cannot take it totally away from the arms of reasoning, because if there's a mammoth crowd in front of the National Assembly and there's an activity either not or to recall a senator who have been away for a long time, you can say, let's do this and wait for the crowd to clear so that there won't be any security breaches. It's very, very reasonable and fundamental if you are reasoning along that line. But what I'm saying in the fact is that her coming into the Senate, resuming work, I don't think there's any fallout on it that could, on its own, single-handedly make the Senate to,
Okay, so now
postpone,
building up to October 7th, the court has directed Natasha to apologize, and she has vowed again not to apologize to neither the Senate nor the Senate President himself.
Yes.
Do you think that this would stop her from resuming on October 7th with other lawmakers?
That will give into consideration the body language of Akpabio and how he have handled this issue. What you just raised now could be another, Hydra raising its ugly head. Yes, because that could be said to be a contempt of court. If you have not really done what the court have asked you to do, you can be held to contempt. You can be held to contempt. They can even go back to the court and get an order stopping you from taking part. Even though you're sitting there as a senator, you're not suspended this time around, you're sitting there as a senator, but you have not obeyed the court order. Okay? That alone can cause the Senate President to enforce the law. And enforcing the law is by using the same court to hold you contempt. Yeah, you can be put back to you can be asked to leave the plenary. The court can even ask you to pay fine or remind you for contempt of court.
It's been a Senate. It's been a Senate of languages. We've seen little technical issues, the Senate of technicalities, some would say. Now, this little speculation that we're trying to raise on the show today, her lack of apology,
salient.
Opening of the office. Now, Senate President could might as well come out and say, opening your office doesn't necessarily mean resumption of legislative duties. It's a rather cunning Senate, don't you think?
Yeah, it's a very rather cunning Senate. And I really appreciate your thoughts on this line, because one might think that it's over, you understand, but it's not quite yet over. And one could say, if we just give her the opportunity to continue, which means that we are siding with her to flout the order of the court. The Senate would want to uphold the order of the court, more especially on the area of apology. So if I were to be one of the advisors to Senator Natasha, I think it's very, very paramount for her to go to any of the national dailies on or before the 7th of October and issue the apology. It will take in her base.
Now, the Senate appears to have tried to clear its own name, to polish the floor, or some would say like this, just polish something, right? They've opened our office. They basically reports suggesting, return of democratic principles, reconciliation, all of that. Now the burden the burden, let me say it that way, would now be fall on Natasha to apologize. So as the day draws nearer, it's now going to become, or do you think rather it will become a case of apologize or not apologize? And then at the end of the day, Nigerians will start to say, Natasha, apologize now, apologize, so that you can come back. It's for your constituents. So do you see the Senate cleaning its own, slate, and then leaving the burden on her to apologize?
The bulk to her now to play it out. Yes,
the senator that doesn't want to apologize.
It looks like that. I can entertain that scenario. Okay, it's a high possibility, because what am I saying here? If she doesn't do that, okay, it doesn't tell well of her political career, because it's a court order. She should try as much as possible to do that. But if she eventually does that, it will also give her that soft landing, okay, to be able to liaise with, build rapport with all the members of the Senate, not being seen as a rebel, okay? It could even make her to throw up a joke to the Senate President and douse this whole tension. She shouldn't just continue to be cocky, you understand? Yes, because it's a court order. If it is not a court order,
at this point in time,
if it is not a court order, I will not stress it. I am only stressing it because it's a court order. And she is being well chaperoned as someone who obeys the rules of democracy. She is the one who has been battered here. She's the one whom we have used the principles of politics to beat over. So she is coming from this point now. There must be democracy. There must be respect for the rule of law. So what I'm saying is that she should also toe that path and render this apology in such a way that the institution that she is trying to uphold will not be used, you understand, to criticize her. Because if she doesn't render this apology, what will say, what is democratic about you? What is political about you anymore? Because court order is court order. And anyone who flouts court, she shouldn't bring her misunderstanding with the Senate President into obeying this court order. You are apologizing to the whole Senate and not just to only one person. Though the apology might be written in his name, but it's to the whole Senate. It's to Nigerians that you apologize. You flouted Senate standing rules, okay? And the court of law has said that you should apologize. Let her not play politics with the court of law. Let her apologize, okay, and leave the rest to the Senate. I believe that it will give her the soft landing that she requires.
Does the Senate President owe Nigerians an apology regarding the way they handle this case? And also, the second question is, what do you say about the 10th Assembly on how they handle this case? As you stated, it should be something like a 1 week, 2 week suspension.
I think if the issue
allowing this upsurge of this magnitude, what would you say about the 10th Assembly? Allowing their colleagues go through these rigorous process.
Let me tell you one thing. Whenever you have a rubber stamp Senate, whenever you have a Senate that works hand in glove with the executive, there's always a negative fallout. That's why you see budget padding. That's why you see the Senate arrogating certain responsibility to themselves.
But everybody's not APC.
Yes, because do you know why? Because they have already compromised, okay? They are passing every bill that the executive wants. The executive is working hand in glove with the Senate. The Senate will, based on the relationship they have with the executive, you understand, arrogate themselves. They say that when the little bird Nza ate and drank and was able to challenge his personal God to a single combat. When you give the Senate an excess power, when the Senate and the executive are working hand in glove, it makes them think that they are what they are not. Okay, that's just what I have to say about that. Because left to me, this whole thing wouldn't have stretched up to 6 months. There's another scenario I think that plays out from my own political analysis. I think if the whole issue was only disobeying Senate standing rule, the suspension may not have stretched. The sexual harassment, you understand, was a kind of how will I put it? It was a touch for the Senate President. That sexual harassment, he couldn't get it. The whole thing now compounded, you understand, and now he unleashed on her based on flouting Senate standing rule, and also coming up with a kind of a sexual harassment, which is also like a blow on the face of the entire Senate.
I was talking to you about, where they draw the line between personal and political issues when it comes to the House, because at the end of the day, the constituents are the ones who are going to suffer. And
they will suffer a lot.
They called out that Natasha is making this whole thing personal to herself than her constituents.
If she doesn't apologize before 7th, the energy will start to tilting. Not to her direction now, okay? Yes, she should apologize. If she apologizes, it will thicken her base. If she apologizes, she have left no stone unturned. If she apologizes right now before the 7th, you understand? She will have, like the Senate have cleared the ground for her to return. She have also cleared the ground for her to start, participating in the plenary. You don't want to let me go.
A question I asked you: does Godswill Akpabio owe Nigerians an apology because of this actually disgraced our nationality?
Let's leave the apology until when he will write his book. When he will leave office. Yes, he will now write his book and tell us the true story and probably render an apology. That will be his book.
And we're looking forward to that book, right? So before we go, I mean, we talked about the biggest news in Nigeria being that of the Senate representing Kogi Central, Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, resuming her duties, even though to a Senate that is still not sitting till plenary till 7th of October. 7th, right?
7th, yeah.
Right. So essentially, the biggest news in the Southeast now is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. And we have to touch on it because it's really important.
Yes.
Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is going to have his hearing on that no-case submission earlier this month on the 26th, as opposed to it happening in October, which was when it was earlier or adjourned to rather. So it is now being abridged, as his legal counsel said, to this month. What do you think are the possibilities from this case? Do you see him being released? The hearing, basically, or the no-case submission.
They've done the hearing.
Do you think he's going to be released? Do you think, based on all the health conditions recorded and everything that has to do with this case, would he be released?
When you put into consideration his health condition, all the 13 facts that we are kind of enunciated by Agabi in the no-case submission. When you put all those things into consideration, you will now have a better opportunity to appreciate the whole case. And you ask yourself, why is he still in incarceration? Why is he still in incarceration? Okay? Why is he still in incarceration? Are you aware that it's either a Geneva Convention, there's a United Nations you can't put someone in a house arrest for more than 15 days. But Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has been in house arrest for over 6 years. So it's a total violation of his fundamental right. You understand? According to the Nigerian Constitution, according to the African Charter, and according to the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, it's a total violation of his right. You can't keep anybody under house arrest for more than 15 days. So when you put all those into consideration, and also the political atmosphere at this moment, like I told you, it's a political thing, okay?
Yes, and just to clarify, you're actually very correct. It is not the hearing; it's in fact the ruling.
Yes,
so it's the
final ruling on the no-case submission that we are going to witness on the 26th. The hearing has been done, okay? The judge, Omotosho, the other time gave 20 minutes to the prosecution and also gave 20 minutes to Agabi to make their submissions, and they have all made their submissions. If you go into those submissions one after the other, you now ask yourself, okay, why is he still there? Why is he still? I'm not the judge, I'm not going to rule, but I also know the law to an extent. Are you aware that the proscription of IPOB was never approved by the president, but it was gazetted? There was no presidential approval that IPOB has been proscribed. It was a mere political statement, and the Federal Minister of Justice carried it like that and gazetted it without an approval, without a document approving it. You understand? So that goes. Do you know that the charge sheet that was used to arraign Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was not filed? It was not filed. They withdrew the first one to amend. After amendment, they never filed the correct one. So I have gone through the no-case submission, and I pointed out most of the things that are quite poignant there, that if the judge should stand by the principles of no case submission, you understand, I don't think that
all right, hold that thought, Barr.
should stay there.
Let's go on a quick break now. Okay. The Monitor returns in just split seconds. Please stay tuned.